force has had 5 meetings so far and will have the 6th one in just 2 days. We are in the process of finalizing the report, and I would like to thank you all of you who submitted written contributions. I've mentioned that at the beginning of our COSAC meeting. 10 chambers so far have submitted such contributions. I would also like to thank all parliaments that participated in the COSAC working group meeting we had in Brussels on 26th of March. I think our discussion was very fruitful and informative, and we managed to involve more national parliaments one way or another to the work of the task force. Most of the points that were raised then are reflected in the draft contribution text the chairpersons agreed upon yesterday. I will mention some of them, extending the deadline for subsidiarity scrutiny from 8 weeks to at least 12 as one of the ideas. The green card, increasing the focus on proportionality, early involvement of national parliaments in the legislative process, improving how contributions on the subject of subsidiarity are dealt with, improving the impact assessments. I sincerely hope the work of the task force and our cooperation on the subject do not end after the 15th of July, the deadline to present the report. I firmly believe that this is a process, a marathon, and not a sprint, as we say sometimes, and that COSAC should continue to be active in this regard. Moving on with the session, I remind you that you can submit your requests for the floor until the end of the speech of the last keynote speaker. Once we open the floor for debate, we will no longer accept requests. And as we did in the first panel, 15 seconds before the end of your speaking time, you'll hear the ring. Somebody cut me already. You know, the system that I like so much. So the ring bell sounds like that. Good. Now, сега минаваме на български. Давам думата на господин Кирил Вълчев, журналист и радиоводещ в една от водещите български медии, за да модерира изказванията на ключовите ни говорители. Господин Вълчев, имате думата.
Благодаря ви, господин Вигенин. Обещавам да бъда добър пазител на времето. От опита си в политическото предаване седмицата в единственото частно национално радио на България, знам, че когато говорят политиците, спазването на времето не е лесна работа, но разчитам на опита на днешните говорители от изказванията им в парламента, където спазването на времето е важно. Темата на тази сесия е междупарламентарното сътрудничество на Европейския съюз в контекста на дебата за субсидиарност и пропорционалност. И именно в името на спазването на времето ще спестя историческите въведения в темата за тази политическа доктрина, в която идеята е централното управляващо тяло да бъде само помощно, допълнително, което е и значението на латински език на думата субсидиариус, защото решенията трябва да се взимат на възможно най-децентрализираното ниво. Впрочем, историята на политическата субсидиарност започва далеч преди Европейския съюз, още с първият Ватикански събор, а идеята идва още от Аристотел и Платон. Едва по-късно субсидиарността става част от европейското право, а пропорционалността пък, съразмерното съотношение на съставните части на нещо, е стремеж, който съвсем не принадлежи първо на вас, политиците, а по-скоро на хората на изкуството и на математиците. И тъй какво да очакваме от нашите говорители в тази сесия за субсидиарността и пропорционността? Очакваме превод от брюкселският новоговор, ако използваме това название на изкуственият език на Джордж Оруел, на нормалният стар език, на староговор, защото именно този нов казионен език, бюрократичният, административният език отблъсква европейските граждани. Но колкото и да е труден брюкселският език и особено преводът на нормален език, напомням на 4-мата говорители в тази сесия, че имат само по 7 минути, за чието спазване ще бъда безкомпромисен, разполагайки с централната власт на модератора. И тъй, Първият говорител е господин Франс Тиммерманс, който е първият заместник-председател на Европейската комисия, комисар за по-доброто законотворчество, междуинституционалните отношения, върховенството на закона и хартата на основните права. Той познава дебата за субсидиарността и от двете страни, като 2 пъти депутат в Холандския парламент и министър по европейските въпроси, както и министър на външните работи на Холандия, а сега като координатор за по-доброто прилагане от Европейската комисия на принципите на субсидиарността и пропорционалността. От ноември той ръководи и създадената от Жан-Клод Юнкер работна група по субсидиарност и пропорционалност, чийто финален доклад се очаква до 15 юли. Заповядайте, господин Тиммерманс.
Thank you very much, and thank you for this kind introduction. You know, at some point, George Bernard Shaw wrote a note to his arch-enemy, Winston Churchill, inviting him to the opening night of his new play. And he wrote to Churchill, Prime Minister, here is an invitation to the opening night of my newest play, and I include an invitation for a friend, always assuming you have a friend. Whereupon Churchill wrote back to him saying, dear Mr. Shaw, thank you very much for the invitation. Sadly, I'm not available for the opening night, but I will consider coming to the second show, always assuming there will be a second show. The task force is not a one-off. Once we present our report on the 15th of July to President Juncker, that's not the end of it. This would be my first remark this morning, because this is work in progress. What we propose is not a revolution, it is an evolution. It is looking at our procedures, it is looking at how we do things now, it is taking note of the dissatisfaction in member states and in national parliaments and trying to address those issues by changing the way we work, by changing the way we work together, and by perhaps also looking at new procedures that could help us improve the quality of our work and also accommodate some of the concerns that have been raised by national parliaments. For me, this task force is not about finding a new definition of subsidiarity and proportionality. That would be a complete waste of time. There are cupboards full of books trying to find the final definition of subsidiarity. Nobody's ever succeeded, and we are modest enough to understand that it will not be one of the things we get done. So let's just be practical about these things. And I'm very fortunate to have a very strong group of people on my task force helping me to do that. Once we have drawn our conclusions, which will be on the way we work today and how we can improve that, on increasing the buy-in of not just national parliaments, but also local and regional authorities, who very often are the end users of the products we produce at the European level, and also on looking at policy areas where perhaps European action in the foreseeable future is not warranted. I think to try and translate one of the basic principles of this Commission, of the Juncker Commission, big on big things and small things, into concrete steps on how we work and on defining which issues might no longer be on the top of our agenda, so the Commission will not take initiatives in that area, is also a way of improving the situation. Now, our conclusions will be reflected, I think, in the address President Juncker will give on the State of the Union in the European Parliament in September. And although the European Parliament is not part of the task force, I'm quite sure that once the report of the task force is on the table, the European Parliament will be an integral part of our debates on how we will implement the conclusions of the task force. I also want to call upon you, those of you who still have ideas that could be useful for the task force, but have not had the opportunity yet to feed these ideas into the task force, please do so. Until the very end, we will take them on board and see how we can put them into our report. Already we've received quite a lot of ideas that you will see duly reflected in our report, but if there are more ideas, then please do that. My final remark is this. I think it would be a waste of time to have a fundamental debate on competences, on redefining elements of the treaty, etc. There are no taboos in the task force. So if conclusions come up that would warrant treaty change in the future, they might come up. But that's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is practical solutions to make sure that citizens see their ideas and their concerns better reflected in not just the products we produce, but also the way we produce them. And there I believe that there is no antagonism between the roles of national parliaments and European institutions, whether it's the Commission, the European Parliament, or the Council. Only if we work together on issues that manifestly cannot be solved by member states on their own can we produce the support, can we generate the support in the European public for the European project. It is abundantly clear to me that there is no way we can tackle the migration issue if we don't have real European solutions for that challenge. It is clear to me that security can only be dealt with at the European level, whether it's internal security but also external security. It's very clear to me that if we don't improve the functioning of the internal market, if we don't invest in the fourth industrial revolution and its opportunities, if we don't offer some protection of our citizens against the risks and the challenges of globalization, if we don't do all these things at the European level, then we will all fail because individually member states simply are not in a position, given the scale of the problem, to do it on their own. That is the spirit within which we operate. That is the spirit within which we have worked together in the task force, and I look forward to discussing the results with you after the report has been written, and I'm sure that both the Austrian and the Romanian presidency will work with us to make sure that we continue improving the workings of our institutions in the future. Thank you very much for your attention.
Благодаря ви, господин Тимерманс. Сигурен съм, че аудиторията ще се възползва от това да ви представи предложения. И нека подчертаем нещо важно, което казахте, че вашата работна група не е еднократен акт, че търсите еволюция, а не революция, не търсите нови дефиниции, а подхождате прагматично. Следващият говорител е професор доктор Данута Хюбнер. Тя е председател на Комисията по конституционните въпроси на Европейския парламент, също с опит от двете страни в дебата за прилагането на политическата субсидиарност в Европейския съюз. Първо като министър по европейските въпроси на Полша, преди това и заместник министър на промишлеността и търговията, държавен секретар в Министерство на външните работи, а след това и като първият еврокомисар от Полша с портфейл търговия и след това регионална политика и евродепутат от 2009 година. Заповядайте, доктор Хюбнер.
Thank you very much. I have noticed that Frans Timmermans didn't use 30 seconds, so I hope you will allow me to use those 30 seconds. I would like to start by saying that, of course, we are not here to talk about the treaties, but when we reflect on subsidiarity, we, of course, have in the back of our head the fact that treaties lay the foundations for different roles and powers of all institutions, including national parliaments in the European legislative process, or indeed more even in decision-making process. I also think that it is important from time to say loudly that we have world-class standards and that we have practices, also world-class practices, in legislative drafting, in impact assessment, in openness of the process, and when it comes to consultations also with interest representatives with regard to access to documents. So I think a lot exists in our system that is supporting the subsidiarity. And we have also interinstitutional agreement between the three institutions on better lawmaking that has, I think, strongly improved or strengthened deeply those rules and standards and also practices. And let me, of course, say also that we as European Parliament and national parliaments, on the top of our own very specific roles and powers that we have also this joint, extremely important responsibility for ensuring the democratic legitimacy of the process. And in some areas, as you know, we also face the challenge of double legitimacy to cope with. Now on subsidiarity, I would like to say that this concept has been with us as a concept throughout the European integration history, and I agree fully with Frans Timmermans. Maybe Professor Semov will be of different view, that we don't have to go to look for the definition, because I think that core principles of subsidiarity are so basic that nobody can deny their value. And the real issue is the implementation of the subsidiarity. So that's why I think the challenge throughout the history of European integration, the challenge has always been to how to turn it into a practical concept reflecting European Union political values. But we must not forget that subsidiarity, that's one thing which I want to say clearly, that subsidiarity is not about doing what we want at local, regional, national, European level, but about doing our part in this of common objectives at all levels of European governance, and I think we should always be aware of that. And we have in various institutions, various levels of governance, various stages of legislative process which are involved in our reflection on subsidiarity, and that's why some coordination among all mechanisms upholding subsidiarity is certainly needed. And that's why task force work is highly appreciated by European Parliament in this context, and we regret, or some of us regret, that the format chosen has not allowed us to participate, but I agree, I respond to Frans Timmermans, we are absolutely ready to continue working with you closely within COSAC format, within whatever format will be applied in the future. We have to discuss it together. We want to be in. And as I have limited time for the introductory comments, I would like to address directly several issues which I think do not pop up as very important for you when you are focusing very often on procedures, which you have the right to do. But I think that it is important maybe just to talk about something which I think could have some value added also to your reflection. So first, I would say that the European institutions, the Parliament, the Commission, but also the Council, we have developed a lot of practices already to protect subsidiarity from the very early stage of legislation. And I think here that I can say it's true for Commission, it's true for us, that there is a strong vocation there without any doubt. Every year now we have this joint declaration of the Parliament, Council and the Commission on the annual work program, where I can assure you that subsidiarity features there very, very high in line with the interinstitutional agreement on better lawmaking. And as of next year, we will move to strategic programming, preserving hopefully the same approach. And let me also assure you that as Parliament, we look with all attention into recent opinions, even if very often they are very far from necessary threshold, but for us they are always an important element of information. The next issue in the context of subsidiarity is that you raise also at national level, I think quite frequently, the comment on the choice of the legal form for a new legislation between a directive or a framework directive or a regulation. And of course, we all know that finally the choice that the Commission is making, the legal basis, depends usually on the policy area. And there are areas where we have to go for full harmonization. In other areas, we don't have to. Directives have to be transposed, of course, and they give what you think, when I agree with you, a space at national level for debate, for reflection, to raise awareness also of the people at national level, which I think is extremely good. But we also see that very often this debate and this transposition leads to a lot of gold plating, which I think is not good from the point of view of the quality of the legislation. Then a few words also on the early warning system. In addition to what you are discussing, the procedure where you know European Parliament has been supporting you on many issues from the day one. This procedure, I think, could benefit largely from improved dialogue between national parliaments and European institutions, from intensity of contacts, which there is a space to make it more intense, and also better exchange of documents. And then I think if if we could better focus our interparliamentary meetings, it's up to us, the European Parliament, to propose a better focus for those annual meetings. This, I think, could also help with regard to the recent opinions of subsidiarity. Still on this early warning system, I think we should also take into account when we try to improve it that it should not lead to more lengthy legislative process. We know that it's already very long in the European Union, so I think good balance is needed here. And also we have to take into account the workload in the European Commission if we go too far with the proposed reform of this system. Then I also think, if I could just, because we are all reflecting very often with you, why in those opinions, recent opinions, you go very often beyond and you talk about the issues which do not belong to subsidiarity. And I think because we do not have a good dialogue on the future of Europe, we need more real debates, we need more clarity among ourselves also where we want to go together. And then if we have this dialogue and this discussion, then probably it will be easier to focus on subsidiarity in those opinions. But I know from colleagues from many national channels, from many national chambers, that this subsidiarity early warning system is practically very often the only channel for you to make the comments on the political priorities of Europe and the future of Europe in general. So here I think we have to look at it more with more attention. And then, of course, respecting and caring about subsidiarity implies what Frans Timmermans mentioned, that one-off solution does not exist. This is a living and will always be a living process, and I'm sure that we will work on this together. You cannot just by one with all due respect to the task force and the report, we cannot probably fix all the imperfections of the subsidiarity with one off process or event. And not to conclude, let me say just one more thing. I think when we pass the laws, we must make sure that they meet subsidiarity standards. That's, I think, the starting point of our discussion. But then we must also, through the, as parliamentarians, through the oversight of our executive, which includes also the European Commission, but it's also national governments, which is extremely important, ensure that also the implementation is in line with those standards. So on this, we are ready to work with you also in the future, how to make sure that the implementation works. Thank you very much for your patience.
Time passes differently for different people, Shakespeare said. You have to know that you use 2 minutes more.
No, but I am a combination of politician and academic, so that's the worst combination.
Благодаря ви, професор Хюбнер. Впрочем, ценно отбелязване, че принципът е ясен и по него няма спорно, става дума за неговото приложение. Това не е да правим каквото си поискаме, както казахте вие. Трябва да се отдели повече внимание на парламентарните срещи и дебатите по тях. Наистина Европа има стандарти и практика от световна класа в законодателството, но трябва да се борим с двойните изисквания за легитимност. Продължаваме с следващият говорител, господин Bastiaan van APELDOORN. Той е председател на Постоянната комисия по европейските въпроси на Сената на Холандия, но освен с богатата си политическа дейност, той е и учен по международните отношения и политическа икономика, преподавател и изследовател в един от университетите в Амстердам. Заповядайте, господин APELDOORN.
Thank you very much, Chair. The title of this session is EU Interparliamentary Cooperation in the context of the debate on subsidiarity and proportionality. And this, of course, touches upon the core business of COSAC. We are a forum of interparliamentary cooperation within the EU, and we seek to strengthen this cooperation and make it more effective in the firm belief that national parliaments have a crucial role to play in bolstering democratic legitimacy of the EU. Indeed, without a strengthening of the role of national parliaments in EU governance, it is hard to see how we can tackle the EU's democratic deficit and ensure that the EU is seen as representing and working for its citizens. The principles of subsidiarity and proportionality are a necessary condition for the democratic legitimacy of EU governance, as decision-making should be as close as possible to the citizen and in proportion to democratically chosen goals. Hence our need as national parliaments to reinforce our cooperation in this area. So for these reasons, I'm keen to see the report of the task force on doing less more efficiently. But I also want to stress that this important work cannot just be left to the task force. Indeed, it is a marathon that we have to run together. Also, as the Dutch delegation mentioned in its letter to the COSAC working group, we consider the task force and its result not as the end of the debate, but as a contribution to work in progress, a part of the ongoing efforts of national parliaments to improve their involvement in the European legislative process. So COSAC by now has a rich history of seeking to bolster the role of national parliaments in the EU through exchanging best practices, information, and for instance regarding improving the yellow card procedure. But we do need the cooperation of the European Commission and the support of the European Parliament. And looking at Danuta, I have to say that I welcome that the European Parliament has recently adopted a resolution that recognizes the obstacles that national parliaments encounter and that shows support for many of the remedies that national parliaments have suggested. So this support is very welcome, but now we need to take a real step forward. So to make it more concrete, and looking to my left at Mr. Timmermans, let us now finally, after talking about it for years, exclude the recess period from the 8 weeks in the yellow card procedure. And I here also refer to paragraph 2.4 of the contributions of this COSAC that will hopefully be adopted after this session. So I hope that this is also what the task force will propose. Similarly, I call upon the task force to include proportionality as part of the argumentation that one can make as national parliaments in the yellow card procedure. The way European institutions respond to actions of national parliaments have in the past too often given the impression that national parliaments are still not taken seriously. An attitude, I think, that the EU can ill afford, but that also as national parliaments we should not allow to persist. The Commission's responses to reasoned opinions and to yellow card procedures are, I think, an example of what I mean. In our view, assessing subsidiarity and proportionality is a political assessment and one that should as such be left to national parliaments to make. The Dutch Senate, as I assume do all other chambers, doesn't issue reasoned opinions lightly. We assume that the Commission has done its work and has deemed the proposal indeed to be in line with the principles of subsidiarity and proportionality. But it can happen that from our national perspective, we disagree with the Commission. So we expect the Commission also to assume that we have done our work as national parliaments as well. And on this basis, engage in an open and proper dialogue with us. Such a proper dialogue is sometimes lacking in the political dialogue as well. The Commission responses often take too long and are too general in nature, not providing the detailed answers to our questions that we would expect. Whereas we do tend to get such answers from our own government, in the case of the Netherlands, usually within 4 to 6 weeks. So in the Dutch Senate, we often tend to prefer to have a dialogue with our own national government on their interpretation and appreciation of the proposal instead of with the Commission. And that is, in a way, a pity that we do not have it with the Commission as well. So in order to further improve relations between the Commission and national parliaments, we need to build trust, which takes time and proof of goodwill. But we are happy that under Vice President Timmermans, many initiatives have been taken to improve the relations with national parliaments, like more availability of commissioners who come to national capitals to explain policy and proposals, and indeed the promise of faster and more detailed replies to our opinion. And there has been progress in this regard, but we are not there yet. But here I do welcome the proposal made by the Danish delegation, for instance, to the task force for a code of conduct on good and timely responses to national parliaments within the political dialogue on the part of the Commission. Another proposal that has been tabled by, I think, several delegations is to introduce a second subsidiarity check at the end of the negotiations, and that might be a possibility. But arguably, that might not be necessary if we make EU decision-making fully transparent, which is also essential in any case for national parliaments to play our role in scrutinizing and controlling our governments in council negotiations. As you know, the Dutch delegation here, with the support of many of you, has been active in seeking to put the issue of transparency high on our agenda. And here I want to thank all of those delegates who attended our successful side session yesterday. And following this, I encourage all of you to continue to address the issue of transparency with your respective governments. We should be proactive here because this issue won't solve itself by itself, and we need to exercise collective pressure. And here again, I recall that 26 delegations of chambers of national parliaments in the European Union have signed a letter with 4 questions, and we're still awaiting a full point-by-point answer. If the Council takes the role of national parliaments seriously, I would say that this is the time to show this. Finally, I want to end by emphasizing that we can also be more effective in influencing EU decision-making if we do more collectively, as we are now doing with regard to transparency. So in this regard, we should also be looking at ourselves and how we can make more effective use of the tools that are at our disposal. For instance, even before the 8 weeks period, we could share each other's priority lists, we could collectively share information as clusters of interest on specific topics, such as transparency. We could do this also via national rapporteurs, or exchange information through IPACs and through our permanent representatives, parliamentary representatives in Brussels, and also maybe together with the European Parliament. In short and in conclusion, we also need to take ownership as national parliaments. We need to put in the effort ourselves, and we need to continue to strive for an EU decision-making in which national parliaments can play their key role to ensure that EU governance is democratically legitimate and in line with the principles of proportionality and subsidiarity. Thank you, and sorry for going slightly over time.
Благодаря ви, господин Апелдорн. Действително, националните парламенти играят изключително важна роля за легитимността на Европейския съюз и сте прав, че те трябва да се приемат сериозно. Освен това бяха ценни и практическите ви предложения. Наистина има значение как се изчисляват, например, 8 седмици, дали в тях се включват ваканциите. Прав сте и за това, че съвместно се постигат по-добри резултати. Не случайно девиза на българското председателство на Съвета на Европейския съюз е "Съединението прави силата". Последният говорител е професор доктор Атанас Семов. Той е професор в Софийският университет Свети Климент Охридски от катедра Жан Моне на Европейския съюз. Той е професор по европейско право. Дисертацията му е на тема Съдът на Европейския съюз. Ръководи международната магистърска програма по право на Европейския съюз в София. Има и политически опит като заместник-председател на Народното събрание 2009-10 година, но безспорно по-голяма тежест имат 7-те му книги по право на Европейския съюз, повече от 50-те му статии и съставителството му на 12 научни сборника. Не на последно място, той е мой съученик от класическата гимназия. Това е Националната гимназия за древни езици и култури, което му позволява да знае произхода от латински език на думи като субсидиарен. Заповядайте, професоре.
Благодаря сърдечно, драги Кирил. Уважаема професор Хюбнер, уважаеми комисар Тимерманс, уважаеми колеги. Аз съм напълно убеден, че да обичаш Европа означава и смело да критикуваш слабостите й. Аз обичам Европа убедено и вярвам, че предавам тази любов и на студентите си. Затова ще говоря кратко, но открито. Основен принцип на Европейския съюз е решенията да се взимат възможно най-близо до гражданите. И това се постига и чрез принципа на субсидиарност. Мисля обаче, че сме длъжни да си зададем въпроса дали всички решения в Европейския съюз се приемат възможно най-близо до гражданите и най-вече дали гражданите имат усещането, че тези решения се приемат близо до тях. Ще го кажа ясно. Все още усещането е, че Брюксел е далече, много далече. Вчера се завърнах от поредния цикъл занятия на нашето единствено по рода си в Европа едногодишно продължаващо обучение на съдии и адвокати от цялата страна по право на Европейския съюз. Мога да ви уверя, няма усещане за близост. Макар да съм бивш заместник-председател на българския парламент, имам задачата да говоря пред вас в качеството си само на университетски професор, поради което смятам за свое задължение да споделя, че за доброто разбиране на принципите на субсидиарност и пропорционалност, ключова е ролята на принципа на доверие в законодателството. Разбиран в неговото отвъд юридическо, демократично измерение, разбиран като демократично доверие. Истински важно е гражданите на Европейския съюз да вярват на законодателството на Европейския съюз, да го смятат за свое, а не за брюкселско, т.е. тяхно законодателство. Но това далеч не винаги е така. Затова смятам за много съществено това, което вече беше подчертано в доклада за равносметката на българското председателство. Настояването за развитие на демократичната легитимност на Европа, особено в перспективата на предстоящите избори за Европейски парламент през 2019 година. Нека не се заблуждаваме. Успехът в преговорите за регламента относно финансирането на европейските политически партии не е достатъчен. Навярно, редица от вас, уважаеми национални депутати, ще се кандидатират на тези избори. Затова ми се иска да споделя с вас. Принципът на пропорционалност все още се нуждае от утвърждаване. Институциите на Европейския съюз все още приемат мерки, които отиват отвъд необходимото за постигането на иначе легитимна цел. И националните парламенти биха могли по-активно и поради това по-успешно да съдействат в това отношение. Като пример за съюзен правен акт, който създава масово усещане за свръхрегулация от страна на Брюксел, боя се, можем да посочим влезлия в сила преди дни GDPR. Няма да отварям темата за Дъблинския регламент, обсъжданията по който все още остават далеч от тревогите на мнозина от гражданите. Всички знаем добре, основният смисъл на механизма на субсидиарността е ефикасността. Но ако самата идея на европейския интеграционен модел е в редица важни материи да се прилагат еднакви за всички нас правила, то знаем го добре и от доктрината на съда в Люксембург за правовия съюз. Ключово важна е демократичната легитимност. И именно на нея би трябвало в по-голяма степен да служи принципа на субсидиарност. Но дали го постига в достатъчна степен? Струва ми се несъмнено, откакто бе предвиден механизма за предварително консултиране с националните парламенти, проектите на комисията в много по-голяма степен зачитат принципа на субсидиарност. Но струва ми се вярно и обратното. Функционирането на този механизъм не доведе до множество примери на сериозна реакция от страна на националните парламенти. А доколкото имаше такава реакция, дали комисията й обърна достатъчно внимание? Струва ми се необходимо много честно да се попитаме: постигнатите досега за близо 11 години от действието на този механизъм 3 жълти картона много ли са или малко? Наистина ли за 11 години само в 3 случая Европейската комисия е отишла по-далеч от необходимото или от допустимото? Не смея да дам завършен отговор на този въпрос. Присъствието тук на моя колега от Нанси и комисар Тиммерманс ме респектира. Но именно заради този респект ми се иска ясно да кажа: 66 години след началото, европейските граждани все още имат нужда от по-активни действия от страна и на Европейската комисия, но и на националните парламенти, които да засилят доверието им, че съюзното законодателство е наше, а не брюкселско, т.е. тяхно. Защото Брюксел има смисъл само ако е на хората. Субсидиарно, пропорционално и най-вече честно с гражданите. И Европейския съюз има смисъл само като съюз на държави и граждани. Благодаря ви.
Благодаря ви, професор Семов. Аз също започнах с вашето усещане за това, че Брюксел е далече. Даже чуйте каква ни е темата на разговора между парламентарно сътрудничество на Европейския съюз в контекста на дебата за субсидиарност и пропорционалност. Представете си как звучи това заглавие на хората, които ме слушат по радиото. Иначе сте прав, че решенията трябва да се вземат най-близко до гражданите и че е нужно демократично доверие, настояване за развитие на демократичната легитимност за Европа и най-вече ефикасност при прилагане на принципи като субсидиарността. Сега трябва да върна думата на господин Вигенин, за да води предстоящите дебати. Ще го направя с едно напомняне, пак перефразирайки Шекспир, надявам се не се сърдите, че за втори път цитирам точно английски автор. Шекспир казва: по-добре да подраниш 3 часа, когато ще е твърде рано, отколкото да закъснееш и минута, когато ще е твърде късно. За целите на тази дискусия ще ви кажа: по-добре да свършите изказването си 30 секунди по-рано, отколкото да закъснеете и 1 секунда. Заповядайте, господин Вигенин.
Благодаря, господин Вълчев. Днешният ден показва, че когато журналисти водят дебата, остава повече време и за дискусия. Ставаме все по-добри. Ето за този последен панел времето вече е 2 минути за изказване, което не значи, че непременно трябва да използвате и двете, но имате тази възможност. Без повече забавяне откривам дебата и давам думата на господин Жан Бизе. Заповядайте.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Le Brexit, que nous avons évoqué à plusieurs reprises au cours de ces 48 heures, doit aussi nous permettre de repenser le fonctionnement de l'Union européenne, et la subsidiarité est au cœur aujourd'hui de nos réflexions. Tout partage de l'exercice de la souveraineté doit être opéré pour répondre de manière pratique à des besoins spécifiques, ce que le professeur Semov a souligné en disant qu'elle devait servir la légitimité démocratique. Et ces partages ne sauraient s'imposer aux États. Ils doivent reposer sur des traités, non sur une lecture fédéraliste de ceux-ci, car l'Union demeure avant tout une fédération d'États-nations et non un État fédéral au sens classique du terme. L'objectif de la construction européenne ne peut être réduit à celui d'une uniformisation. Par contre, l'harmonisation et la convergence doivent laisser une marge d'appréciation aux États membres. Mais attention, la notion de subsidiarité ne saurait pour autant se confondre avec une vision crispée de la souveraineté. Notre pratique régulière de la subsidiarité a, en tout état de cause, contribué à forger un constat sur la procédure en tant que telle. La Commission doit aujourd'hui mieux justifier son recours à un instrument législatif et nous devons avoir plus de temps pour répondre et la Commission doit elle-même être plus réactive. Nous devons également parvenir à un contrôle des actes délégués et d'exécution au titre de la subsidiarité. Nous pouvons enfin envisager la mise en place du carton orange prévu dans le paquet Tusk de 2016 et j'invite également l'adoption dans le cadre de la COSAC d'une déclaration commune. La Commission s'y engagerait à prendre en compte les avis motivés même si le seuil d'un tiers des parlements nationaux n'est pas atteint. Un deuxième acte de cette déclaration consisterait en la possibilité pour les parlements nationaux de pouvoir réexaminer le texte au titre de la subsidiarité dès lors que celui-ci a connu des modifications substantielles au cours des négociations au Conseil et au Parlement, et la déclaration commune permettrait d'éviter une révision des traités. Je vous remercie.
Благодаря. Сега давам думата на господин Ханс Петер Порт.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Switzerland is a reliable partner to promoting democracy, the rule of law, human rights, stability and prosperity in Europe and the world. Also, Switzerland participates on a voluntary basis in the EU's relocation and settlement programs and in the European Asylum Support Office. Switzerland has contributed close to 30 billion euros into European infrastructure and to numerous EU regional projects. Ladies and gentlemen, Switzerland is for the EU the third most and second most important trading partner in goods and services, and the EU makes yearly a surplus on trading of 100 billion euros. 320 people cross the border to work in Switzerland every day, and also approximately 1.4 million EU citizens live in Switzerland, and bring during their work time and their pension life billions of good, strong Swiss francs into your countries. May you also allow me to remind you that Europe is not only the EU, located in the heart of our continent and with a history of 730 years, Switzerland has a democratic sovereignty, and maybe we also have a good spirit of valuable Europe as you have too. Therefore, we appreciate very much to anticipate in your COSAC meetings. The EU has close cooperation with other European associations like the EAA and EFTA, and soon we will welcome also United Kingdom in our family of bilateral partnerships to the EU. So maybe it could be for all of us a valuable profit if COSAC would open its agenda also to some partnerships issues. I'm coming to the end, dear colleagues of the national parliaments. You are not only the bridge to the people. As the representative of your national citizens, you are the stakeholders of your union. In this sense, I wish you the courage to fulfill more efficient your powerful role and to set the guidelines for the strategy of the EU in the upcoming COSAC meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Portman. Jarosław Obremski has the floor.
Widziałem reklamę krzesła, że jest ekologiczne, bo zrobione z plastyku, i widziałem, że ekologiczne, bo zrobione z drewna. Podobnie jest z interpretacją subsydiarności w Brukseli. Nawet jeżeli uda się uruchomić żółtą kartkę, słyszymy od komisarzy, a statystycznie jest to do udowodnienia, i co z tego? A wcześniej mamy barierę poprzez krótki okres na decyzję. Grupa zadaniowa zrobiła mądrą pracę. Otwartość pana Timmermansa tutaj daje nadzieję, a ponieważ cytowano wcześniej Orwella, powiem, że praca grupy zadaniowej daje nadzieję zamienienia brukselskiego wielkiego brata w rzeczywistego partnera parlamentów narodowych. Popieramy postulaty żółtej kartki. Dłuższy termin, mniej krajów, holenderski recess period i the second subsidiarity check, plus obudowanie zieloną i czerwoną kartką. Tym niemniej kluczem według mnie jest uczynienie z Parlamentu Europejskiego prawdziwego parlamentu z ostro określonymi kompetencjami, zakazem przekraczania tych kompetencji i pełną kontrolą nad komisarzami. Pan Hempel z Czechosłowacji, pan Łopatka z Austrii, holenderscy i duńscy przyjaciele zrobili super robotę. Task Group, good job, respect. Jestem 30 sekund przed terminem, więc za Szekspirem powiem the rest is silence.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obremski. Now Peter Luij has the floor.
Dank u, voorzitter. Meneer Timmermans, goedemiddag. De lancering van de taskforce is een goede zaak. En lokale en regionale overheden betrekken bij de beleidsvorming van de Europese Unie en het subsidiariteitsgevoel versterken is een goede zaak. Ik pleit voor een grote rol van de regionale parlementen bij het tot stand komen van EU-wetgeving. En de sleutel van het subsidiariteitsprobleem ligt precies in de rol van de regio's te vergroten. Maar meneer Timmermans, Europa is meer dan de som van nationale lidstaten. Het is een lappendeken van regio's, staatloze naties en lidstaten, elk met hun eigen structuur en identiteit. Zelf ben ik eerst Vlaming en dan Europeaan. Meneer Timmermans, u kan het draagvlak voor Europa vergroten door te luisteren naar haar regio's. U bent een man van dialoog. En ik begrijp dan ook niet dat u geen rechtstreekse dialoog aangaat met Catalonië, een economische sterke regio, een pro-Europese regio, en dat Europa zwijgt over de opsluiting van politieke Catalaanse leiders en het repressief optreden van de Spaanse overheid tegen dat onafhankelijkheidsstreven. U citeerde Winston Churchill. Wel, ik heb ook een citaat van Winston Churchill voor u. Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. Wilt u de regio's in Europa meer betrekken, dan kan dat niet door weg te kijken, maar door naar hen te luisteren. Dank u.
Thank you, Mr. Luij. Now Arunas Gilonas, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Does Brussels have too much power? Is our freedom of action constrained? Are member states' views almost never taken into account while revising the context of legislative proposals at the EU level? Should our capitals take back control? I'm sure these questions are all too familiar for the MPs present in this meeting. If not given enough attention, the principles of subsidiarity and proportionality can indeed become an object of manipulation and a powerful tool in the hands of populists. There have been positive developments towards greater involvement of national parliaments in the EU decision-making process. However, the dialogue between national parliaments and EU institutions could be developed even further. National parliaments expect that their views will be taken into account by revising the contents of the legislative proposals. The Commission's annual reports on relations with national parliaments lack information about the real impact of opinions issued by national parliaments on the Commission's legislative initiatives. What opinions of which parliaments, in which way? The main dialogue should be between the Parliament and the government. On the other hand, we, as well as other national parliaments, believe that political dialogue developed through the use of the Green Card is a useful tool for interparliamentary cooperation. This tool aimed at a greater involvement of national parliaments in the EU decision-making should be further implemented in the framework of the existing treaties. There may therefore be a case for structures other than COSAC, where cooperation and coordination can be discussed, to ensure efficiency and avoid unnecessary fragmentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Now a big jump from northeast to southwest. Margarida Marques, Portugal.
Muito obrigada, Presidente. Eu queria saudar, em primeiro lugar, este debate aqui nesta reunião da COSAC sobre a Task Force da subsidiariedade e queria agradecer ao Frans todos os detalhes que nos apresentou sobre o funcionamento da Task Force. E queria levantar um problema que é o seguinte: sei que a Task Force tem uma ambição mais alargada, mas gostava de colocar uma questão muito concreta a Frans Timmermans. Que é a seguinte: se a Comissão Europeia tem uma avaliação ou tem intenção de fazer uma avaliação estruturada do impacto que os Parlamentos Nacionais, dos pareceres que os Parlamentos Nacionais enviam no quadro do Protocolo 2. Ou seja, nós cumprimos o nosso mandato do lado dos Parlamentos Nacionais e gostaríamos de saber se a Comissão tem uma avaliação relativamente a esses pareceres por parte dos Parlamentos Nacionais. Segundo ponto, comunicação. Eu penso que aqui é necessária uma estratégia de comunicação que nos ajudará seguramente a combater alguns mitos. O primeiro mito, que é uma expressão que é muito utilizada não só em Portugal, mas por todo o lado, que é a interferência de Bruxelas nas políticas nacionais. Um segundo mito é o déficit democrático e nós pensamos que uma estratégia de comunicação ligada com o desenvolvimento do princípio da subsidiariedade poderia ajudar a contribuir para reduzir o déficit democrático. E um terceiro mito, a perda de soberania. Também aqui uma estratégia de comunicação permitiria clarificar qual é efetivamente o papel dos Parlamentos Nacionais e penso que essa estratégia de comunicação poderia ajudar a combater estes três mitos. Muito obrigada.
Just in time, thank you. Now the incoming presidency, Mr. Christian Buchmann.
Danke, Herr Vorsitzender. Ich möchte Vizepräsident Timmermans sehr herzlich danken für seinen pragmatischen Zugang bei der Arbeit der Taskforce. Ich glaube, das ist der richtige Weg und wenn ich es richtig verstehe, dann gibt es auch in dieser Taskforce ein gemeinsames Verständnis davon, dass die Europäische Union im Wesentlichen die großen Fragen, wie beispielsweise die Sicherung der Außengrenzen, die Fragen der Migration, die Fragen der Vollendung des Binnenmarktes bis hin zu den Chancen und Risiken der Digitalisierung behandeln soll und dass wir den Mitgliedstaaten und den kleineren Regionen sehr viel auch an Kompetenzen überlassen sollen, damit diese selbst im eigenen Wirkungsbereich hier Entscheidungen treffen können. Und mir hat sehr gut gefallen, dass Professor Hübner darauf hingewiesen hat, dass es immer wieder auch zu Goldplating kommt. Ich glaube, wenn wir diese Aufteilung zwischen den Aufgaben der Europäischen Union und den Mitgliedstaaten und Regionen entsprechend gestalten können, auch das Goldplating weitgehend verhindert werden kann. Es ist also auch ein guter Beitrag zum Motto der Europäischen Union, in Vielfalt vereint, und es ist, wenn wir diese Vorgangsweise so wählen, auch ein guter Beitrag zur Diskussion der Szenarien über die Zukunft der Europäischen Union, nämlich wenn es darum geht, hier ein Szenario auszuwählen, das eben Kompetenz in den Regionen bleibt und die Europäische Union in großen Lösungen denkt. Österreich wird dabei den Fragen der Bürgernähe große Wirkung zumessen. Professor Semhoff hat darauf hingewiesen. Und ich glaube, dass wenn diese Aufteilung zwischen Europa als Europäische Union und den Mitgliedstaaten und Regionen so stattfinden kann, wir hier der gemeinsamen Idee einer friedvollen Zukunftsgestaltung einen guten Beitrag leisten. Danke.
Thank you very much. Now, Pia Kauma from Finland has the floor.
Dear Mr. Chairman, in order to offer a new angle to the discussion, the Parliament of Finland believes that the importance of subsidiarity and proportionality may be overstated. These are technical terms that are defined in the treaty. In our assessment, breaches of these principles are quite rare. We believe that the best way to address the concerns of national parliaments is to require policy coordination between parliaments and the governments before negotiations in the Council. It is unsustainable for parliamentary democracies to allow situations where governments and the parliaments to which they are ultimately responsible for openly disagree at the European level. In addition, in order to facilitate the national parliament's scrutiny of their own governments, more transparency is needed in the Council decision-making, as promoted, for example, by our Dutch and Danish colleagues over here. On doing less more efficiently, we consider that the Juncker Commission has largely shown the way forward. The volume of regulation has diminished and become more focused. When a member state proposes a new EU activity, it should always be expected to show why action on the European Union provides more added value than activity on the member state level.
Thank you very much. Now back to Portugal. Maria Luís Albuquerque, please.
Obrigada, Presidente. A discussão que estamos a ter aqui hoje neste painel é muito oportuna e aquilo que se percebe das várias intervenções é que a preocupação que temos todos é em conseguir uma aproximação dos nossos cidadãos àquele que é o projeto europeu e tentar resolver o problema de desconfiança generalizado que se tem vindo a instalar relativamente aos políticos, mas aos políticos em geral, não só aos políticos nacionais, mas também às instituições europeias. E esta discussão sobre a forma como a União Europeia legisla e como os Parlamentos nacionais são envolvidos, a forma como devem cooperar entre si, é obviamente fundamental e oportuna. Mas sendo certo que a nossa preocupação aqui é consolidar o projeto europeu e, de alguma forma, combater eficazmente o crescimento de populismos eurocéticos que ameaçam a nossa continuidade, é importante também perceber a responsabilidade que todos partilhamos, a União Europeia, as instituições europeias, mas também os políticos eleitos nos Parlamentos nacionais, sendo certo que nós assistimos em muitos países frequentemente a assumir que aquilo que corre mal é de alguma forma culpa da Europa e aquilo que corre bem é mérito dos decisores nacionais. A maneira como isto muitas vezes é colocado no debate político e acontece em muitos países mina significativamente a confiança dos nossos cidadãos e acho que é importante que também tenhamos consciência disto. Nós temos de ser capazes de gerir as expectativas dos cidadãos relativamente àquilo que a Europa pode dar e, naturalmente, temos de ajudar aqueles que são crentes no projeto europeu, temos de ajudar os cidadãos a perceber as enormes vantagens que o projeto europeu traz a todos, em múltiplos domínios, que vão desde a questão da paz, que é obviamente o primeiro objetivo e o mais importante, mas também à prosperidade económica e à prosperidade social que temos conseguido ao longo destes anos. Este debate é muito importante, mas temos todos de assumir as nossas responsabilidades na defesa do projeto europeu e na atribuição de responsabilidades a quem as tem em cada momento. Muito obrigada.
Thank you very much. Now I give the floor to Mr. Rasmus Nordqvist, Denmark.
Thank you very much. This is indeed a very important discussion, and that's also why the Danish Parliament has been quite active and tried to participate as much as we could within the framework. I think what is important to understand also in this debate is that this is about subsidiarity, but it's also about the dynamics between the EU institution and the national institutions. I don't think that the national parliament's role should only be guardians of the subsidiarity principle, but also to play a more active role in the processes of legislation as such. Therefore, we have put forward a number of ideas that we hope the task force will look positively to. First of all, a new green card for the national parliaments, but also an enhanced yellow and orange card procedure, especially that it's not only subsidiarity we look into when we look at the yellow and orange card procedures. We also think it's important that the whole involvement in the pre-processes, that the national parliaments play a role here, and that the Commission should be quite actively looking to the national parliaments as well. As my Dutch colleague was saying in the beginning, we have proposed also a code of conduct, and I think that the Commission should look into this as well. They could move on some of these proposals as of today, and we think that would be good to have the open and timely information and discussion between national parliaments and the institutions. And then there's the whole question of transparency, and I think that is so important that the national parliament get more access to documents from the council, but also, and this goes to the task force work, that we were told there would be a lot more transparency in the work in the task force, and we haven't really heard anything since the actual work started. So it would be nice also to hear where you are in the work in the task force as of now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Bernard Durkan, Ireland, please. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. And I would like to start off by complimenting Mr. Timmermans on his work so far, and to support the concept of the task force. I think the sharing of sovereignty is always a very sensitive issue between nations, between people, between neighbourhoods from time to time, as we all know in public life. But we probably look at it in the wrong way. We tend to see it as a threat to each of us. We are all self-centred to some extent, but it should be looked at in another way. To my mind, it should be seen as being complementary to each other, because we can complement each other's sovereignty by engaging. The big threat that we have, that I see emerging, is the whole question about populism and the runaway train. And I think that we have a job to do. It's an old-fashioned job. We have to challenge. We have to engage in that debate. We cannot run away from that debate. We must stand up and spell it out and tell it as it is. And we must prove the point. There's no good engaging in propaganda. We must prove the point beyond any shadow of doubt that we are on the right road. Now, we might be always right, but we must engage in that debate. And we must be there at all times. Being absent and running away from it and failing to take our responsibilities will only give more credence and more impetus to the people who indulge in populism. Now, I would say, you know, at this stage, I think the European Commission itself has done a great deal of work as well in engaging with national parliaments. That is a huge improvement on 10 or 12 years ago. And I think that if that work continues, there'll be a better understanding at Commission level of what the parliaments, the national parliaments think, and a better understanding at national parliaments as to what has to be done for Europe to go forward together. We need to take ownership ourselves, each and every one of us, in our national parliaments, of the European project for the good of all.
Thank you, Mr. Durkan. Now, Sabine Thier has...
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Dans le cadre de la réforme institutionnelle française, je présenterai le 28 juin prochain un rapport d'information sur le rôle des parlements nationaux dans le processus décisionnel européen qui traitera, entre autres, de certaines questions qui nous intéressent ici. Alors, je vous fais d'ores et déjà part de celles qui peuvent intéresser la task force. Tout d'abord, sur les délais accordés aux parlements nationaux pour examiner la conformité au principe de subsidiarité, je souhaite qu'il soit porté à 12 semaines afin de nous laisser le temps de procéder à un examen attentif et de nous coordonner avec nos homologues en vue d'établir des positions communes. Le contrôle de subsidiarité étant très souvent détourné de son objet pour exprimer un désaccord politique, il me paraît nécessaire de formaliser davantage la prise en compte des opinions émises par les assemblées au titre du dialogue politique. Il faudrait que la Commission soit astreinte à répondre dans des délais raisonnables et que ces réponses soient publiques. Enfin, il est souhaitable de ne pas cantonner les parlements nationaux dans un rôle exclusif de défense des compétences nationales. Ils doivent par conséquent avoir la possibilité d'appeler l'Union européenne à légiférer s'ils estiment son intervention nécessaire. Pour cette raison, je propose d'instituer un droit d'initiative parlementaire comparable au droit d'initiative citoyenne existant. Lorsqu'un tiers des parlements nationaux le demanderont, la Commission sera dans l'obligation d'apporter une réponse motivée si elle ne souhaite pas donner suite à cette demande. Si la moitié des parlements nationaux procèdent à cette demande, la Commission devra déposer une proposition dans un délai d'1 an. Merci.
Merci. Now, Gerard Crogwell, Ireland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too would like to compliment Vice President Timmermans for the work of his task force and for the level of cooperation and discussion that has existed around the task force. My colleague spoke about standing up and taking responsibility for what we do. And an earlier contributor made the point that when something is good, we claim ownership. When something is not great, we blame Europe. And this has to stop. This has to stop because we've seen some very high-profile populist people who worked hard to try and destroy this project. And once they got what they wanted, they walked away. Because the populist really doesn't want to win. They want to sit on the sidelines and cast stones at the rest of us. So we've got to counter that. And we've got to counter it by developing a marketing programme for Europe. We've got to bring responsibility down to the local authorities. It's all very well dealing with national governments, but very often decisions that are taken in European legislation or directives that come from Europe affect local areas. And we must bring the decision-making down to those local areas. I support the 8 weeks. Indeed, I would prefer to see it 12 weeks. There was some discussion, Mr. Timmermans, about treaty changes. Can I make a plea here that we do nothing, ever, to cause a treaty change of any sort, because in my country we will need a referendum, and my God, we've seen what a referendum can do to the European project. So no treaty changes, please. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I think if it's up to us, we promise, but who knows. Then Václav Hampel has the floor.
Děkuji, pane předsedo, za slovo, dámy a pánové. Já jsem rád, že tady několikrát zaznělo, že zlepšení procesu kontroly subsidiarity je práce, která bude pokračovat, že neskončí koncem práce této pracovní skupiny. Musím přiznat, že to je něco, čeho jsem se vlastně bál, když tato skupina vznikala, že po půl roce přijde k nějakým závěrům, řekne se a tím jsme hotovi se zlepšováním subsidiarity a už nemusíme nic dalšího dělat. Takže s tím plně souhlasím, jsem za to rád, že je to pokračující práce. Ale současně bych moc rád vyzval a požádal, aby to, že je to pokračující práce, neznamenalo, že se teď zas tak moc nestane. Myslím si, že komise udělala dobrý krok tím, že vůbec tu pracovní skupinu ustanovila a že teď je potřeba to dotáhnout tak, aby konečně po mnoha letech, kdy na COSACu diskutujeme celou řadu konkrétních návrhů, tak aby se skutečně reálně a viditelně něco na tomto poli stalo. Ty návrhy, které byly na COSACu diskutovány, my jsme asi před půl rokem shrnuli. Já moc děkuji všem asi 20 parlamentním komorám, které se připojily k tomuto stanovisku a jejich obsah v podstatě stručně připomenul dneska kolega van APELDOORN. Já si myslím, že ze všech těch návrhů, některé jsou dosti technické, ale ty nejpodstatnější z mého pohledu vlastně vedou k tomu, že tam, kde se podaří vystavit žlutou kartu, mělo by to mít nějaký viditelný efekt. A nejde tady o to, že by národní parlamenty se přetahovaly o nějaký vliv, o moc, ale je to přesně ta role národních parlamentů zlepšovat, zvyšovat demokratickou legitimitu v Evropské unii a zejména její vnímání ze strany občanů. Tady si myslím, že Evropská komise by ve skutečnosti přijetí nějaké substantivní reakce na žlutou kartu mohla vlastně se tím chlubit na veřejnosti, že to je vlastně jeden z kroků, kterými zvyšuje demokratickou legitimitu. Děkuji.
Thank you very much. Isabella Klock now.
Dziękuję bardzo. Panie Przewodniczący, naszym nadrzędnym celem, także w zakresie współpracy międzyparlamentarnej, powinna być demokratyczna odnowa Unii Europejskiej, umocnienie jej jedności oraz utrwalenie zdobyczy integracji. Natomiast istotą integracji powinny pozostać potrzeby suwerennych państw członkowskich. Projekt europejski nie może być oderwany od wspólnot demokratycznych, jakimi są wspólnoty narodowe. Prawo tworzone w Unii nie może pozostawać poza wpływem demokratycznie wybranych parlamentów narodowych. Ja tutaj się zgadzam w pełni z diagnozą i propozycjami pana van APELDOORNa z Holandii. Przykład żółtej kartki, który bardzo negatywnie oceniamy, jest nieskuteczny. Brak realnego wpływu parlamentów narodowych na procedurę legislacyjną w Unii Europejskiej. Takim ewidentnym przykładem tu była kwestia pracowników delegowanych. Jest to wzorcowy pokaz klęski w istocie Komisji Europejskiej, gdzie dwa kraje praktycznie o wszystkim decydują wbrew tym wszystkim, którzy podjęli się tej procedury żółtej kartki. Tak więc jeżeli chcemy być razem w Unii Europejskiej, a Polacy tego bardzo chcą, potrzeba większej solidarności, wsłuchania się w głosy obywateli, wspólnot narodowych, ale także więcej sprawiedliwości oraz więcej, to też powiem, wolności dla obywateli. Unia nie reprezentuje europejskiego demosu, lecz ma traktatowy obowiązek szanować tożsamość narodową państw. Także potrzebne jest wzajemne zrozumienie, a nie wzajemne ogrywanie. Dziękuję.
Thank you, Mrs. Klock. Now, Kelvin Hopkins, United.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Blagodaria, may I say, for the opportunity to speak very briefly. It has been a great pleasure to visit Bulgaria for a second time after a skiing holiday in nearby Vitosha in 1984. I have listened with great interest to all the contributions from delegates, but I thought it was perhaps not appropriate for me to express strong views on how the EU should function in the future, given that the United Kingdom will not be a member. However, as a passionate European in the broader cultural sense, I wish all fellow Europeans, both inside and outside the EU, a successful and prosperous future. I am sure too that the UK will have friendly and cooperative relations with our fellow Europeans for the long term, and there would be many matters on which good bilateral and multilateral arrangements will develop and be sustained. In conclusion, I should say that unfortunately the chair of our House of Commons European Scrutiny Committee, Sir William Cash, was unable to attend at the last minute, but I feel sure that he would have made some contribution to the debates and that he would wish you all well for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hopkins. I am sure that we will continue to rely on your advice, even if you are not a member in the future, but you will be able to participate in our events, I hope. Now, Mr. Piotr Appel has the floor.
Bardzo dziękuję. Wszyscy jesteśmy tutaj wybrani w parlamentów demokratycznie i ta demokracja powinna być takim bardzo ważnym elementem Unii Europejskiej. Tymczasem słyszę na tej sali, że boimy się takiego narzędzia, które jest stricte demokratyczne jak referendum. Słyszę, że boimy się procedury czerwonej kartki, która jest stricte opowiedzeniem się z parlamentów narodowych za czymś lub przeciw czegoś, jeśli chodzi o zieloną kartkę. Więc to jest pytanie kluczowe, czy my chcemy iść w stronę technokracji czy demokracji. Jeżeli chcemy iść w stronę demokracji, a mamy problemy, bo problem referendum unijne z pewnością unijne w Wielkiej Brytanii takim było, z przekonaniem do siebie obywateli, to spróbujmy to załatwić. Znaczy, jeżeli nie jesteśmy w stanie znaleźć i boimy się populistów, którzy wypowiadają się przeciwko zjednoczeniu, to znaczy, że mamy problem. Mamy problem z tym, żeby ludzie czuli się w Unii, obywatele czuli się w Unii Europejskiej dobrze, żeby mieli poczucie wpływu i tego, że ta Unia Europejska jest dla nich. I to jest dużo ważniejsze w tej chwili niż to, czy będziemy się zastanawiać nad pewnymi takimi miękkimi rzeczami. Skupmy się na przekonaniu obywateli do Unii Europejskiej, skupmy się na tym, by pokazać im atuty Unii Europejskiej i nie bójmy się ich głosu. Nie bójmy się ich głosu wyrażonych w referendach, nie bójmy się ich głosu wyrażonych w wyborach parlamentarnych, w krajach narodowych, nie bójmy się wreszcie decyzji parlamentów narodowych w postaci żółtej, zielonej i czerwonej kartki. Bo demokracja to jest coś, co spowodowało, że my tu jesteśmy i demokracja jest jedynym i najlepszym, cytując Churchilla, systemem politycznym, który możemy akceptować. Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you very much. And now Mr. Jaak Madison, Estonia.
Aitäh, austatud juhataja. Ma tänan ka härra Timmermansi, kes on leidnud võimaluse tulla siia kohtumisele, sest kahjuks meie eesistumise ajal ta ei saanud tulla 3 üritusele, kuhu me kutsusime. Seega väga suur rõõm on kohata härra Timmermansi siin. Mis puudutab rakkerühma Task Force, siis kindlasti on see samm õiges suunas. See on vähemalt midagigi, mida oleme suutnud ära teha ja väga suur tänu ka Tšehhi senatile, kes on andnud väga suure panuse konkreetsete ettepanekute ja ideedega, kuidas reformida Euroopa Liitu ja teha kogu juhtimine läbipaistvamaks. Samuti suur tänu Austria kolleegidele, kes on samuti andnud väga suure panuse. Mis puudutab Task Force'i, siis selle nimi Doing Less More Efficiently on täpne üks-ühele ühest arengustsenaariumist, mida pakkus välja härra Juncker oma valges raamatus. Nimelt härra Juncker pakkus välja 5 tulevikustsenaariumit Euroopa Liidule ja kui ma õigesti mäletan, see vist oli 4. arengustsenaarium. Ja seetõttu mul on natukene kahju, et need ülejäänud arengustsenaariumid ei ole leidnud mitte mingisugust või erilist käsitlust ega debatti. Seetõttu on jäänud mulle isiklikult kergelt mulje, et see üks variant 5 on justkui Euroopa Komisjoni enda poolt nüüd välja pakutud, et härra Juncker justkui pakub 5 stsenaariumit välja, ise valib selle ühe välja 5, mis leidis siis rakendust läbi rakkerühma loomise. Kuid ootame ära juulikuu, kui tuleb siis see lõppraport ja ma siiralt loodan, et seal on ka konkreetsed ettepanekud lõpuks välja formuleerinud, et kuidas teha seda juhtimist Euroopa just paremaks. Ja lisaks veel kiirkorras mainida kaartide küsimust, siis Suurbritannia kolleegid pakkusid paar aastat tagasi välja punase kaardi võimaluse, kuid kahjuks on see laua pealt kadunud seoses Brexitiga. Ma arvan, et tegelikult punane kaart peaks leidma käsitlust ka Task Force'i laual ja lõppraportist, sest see oleks üks väga efektiivne meede liikmesriikidele parandamaks subsidiaarsust ja proportsionaalsust. Aitäh!
Thank you, Mr. Madison. And now Mr. Toomas Vitsut, Estonia again.
Aitäh! Ma tahaksin kõigepealt tänada oma head kolleegi Kristjan Vigeninit selle töise ja konstruktiivse õhkkonna loomise eest siin COSAC-il. See on aidanud meil väga efektiivselt tööd teha. Aga mina tahaksin tähelepanu pöörata ühele võib-olla probleemile Task Force'i töös. Kui ma töötasin regioonide komitees, siis ma sageli tabasin ennast mõttelt, et regioonide komitee töö võiks olla efektiivsem. Nüüd vaadates seda eesmärki, kuidas rohkem ära teha tõhusamalt, on mul tekkinud vastupidised kartused, ehk siis Euroopa Liidu üks fundamentaalne väärtus on kindlasti see, et toimub kvaliteetne poliitiline dialoog. Efektiivsus iseenesest tähendab seda, et me peaksime asju tegema kiiremini, mis võib viidata sellele, et meil ei ole enam piisavalt aega selleks poliitiliseks dialoogiks. Ehk siis ma tahaksin rakkerühma töö eesmärkide seadmisel panna kõigile südamele seda, et me peaks tegema nii palju kui vajalik ja nii vähe kui võimalik. Aitäh.
Thank you very much. And we finish our debate with the European Parliament. Mairead McGuinness, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And I chose to be last because I wanted to respond on behalf of the Parliament and to say very clearly that my job as Vice President is to have a dialogue with national parliaments. So I very much value all of the contributions that have been made here. And I would reflect on a few points. My colleague Danuta HÜBNER outlined very clearly our position on this issue. And we are all elected by citizens, members of national parliaments and members of the European Parliament. So we have so much in common. I think we all realise that citizens across member states are sceptical about politics. That isn't just about European politics, it's also feeding into national politics. We have a duty to defend our profession. I think we should do that more clearly because we play an important role in democracy and in developing our countries. I would just put a rhetorical question to you that sometimes I hear that subsidiarity may be seen as a way to stop Brussels rather than as a tool for progress. We need to be clear about what our objectives are. But I very much hear the point that we need to be close to citizens. But sometimes when we talk in our regions, there is conflict between the local, the regional and the national, just as we have this issue with the European Parliament. Let us, who are pro-European, not feed into that as a negative. I think that would be very dangerous, and indeed we're seeing some results. But also within our political families, those who belong to them, we need to ask ourselves, are we working effectively within our political families on European issues so that we avoid some of these conflicts? And I remarked that one of the proposals on the table reforming the agriculture policy suggests that more control is given back to member states. But what I'm hearing from lobby groups and stakeholders is that they're not so sure that they want the member state to have control. So there aren't just two sides to this story. It is a multifaceted one. But thank you so much for your contributions, and I think we can work better together.
Thank you very much, Mrs. McGuinness. Excellent finish of our debate. I would like to thank you for the interesting opinion expressed and for the fact that we were very disciplined in this debate. Before I give back the word to Mr. Volchev, I would like to mention that he criticized our title. During the debate, I formulated a compromise solution. I hope you like it, kind of a subsidiarity and proportionality, to be or not to be. I think in the spirit of Shakespeare, I hope it's more understandable. Now, Mr. Volchev, you have the floor back.
Аз изобщо няма да ви критикувам. Впечатлен съм. 20 изказвания и влязахте във времето. Виждам шанс, ако се откажете от политиката, да водите радиопредаване, господин Вигенин. Продължаваме сега с кратки изказвания на ключовите говорители. Имате по 2 минути. Хайде да кажем 2 минути и половина с оглед на това, че професор Хюбнер се наложи да тръгне. Професор Семов, заповядайте в обратен ред на първоначално.
Аз се надявах да съм последен отново, защото няма съмнение, че всички, които са тук, бих искали да чуят преди всичко коментара на господин Тиммерманс. Това, което на мен ми се иска да кажа, е, че мисля, че ясно се усети в тази зала чувството за съпричастност към необходимостта от подобряване на функционирането на механизма за контрол над прилагането на принципите на субсидиарност и пропорционалност. Дали решението е на националните парламенти да се даде повече време, повече от 8, например 12 седмици, не съм убеден. Боя се, че друго е необходимо. Може би важен елемент от решението е комисията да бъде по-чувствителна към случаите, в които националните парламенти споделят тревога, макар да нямат необходимите 30, 1/3 или 1/4 от гласовете, за да могат да наложат тъй наречения жълт картон. Може би е необходимо комисията да прави както предварителен, така и последващ анализ на оценката на въздействието върху субсидиарността, респективно върху националните компетенции. И най-сетне искам ми се да завърша с това, с което и започнах. В Европа все още не ни достига усещането за открит и честен диалог, особено по най-болезнените проблеми. Мисля, че там има огромен резерв. Благодаря за вниманието на всички.
Благодаря, професоре. 2 минути и половина за господин Апелдорн, даже 3, понеже професора спести секунди.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure whether I need the 3 minutes, but I want to thank everyone for their contributions. I think we had a good debate, and there's a lot of agreement here in this room about how to move forward. I do want to say that I somewhat disagree with the representative from Portugal who talked about the myth of the democratic deficit, and that we just simply need a more effective communication strategy. So I want to refer to what Professor Semov said before in his contribution, that there are a lot of people in the EU who feel that the EU is too distant, that decision-making is not close enough to them. And I think they're not just a victim of a myth. There is a problem with regard to democratic legitimacy in the EU, and I think it is for us to effectively address that challenge. And part of it has to do with a lack of transparency, which makes it more difficult for governments to exercise control and our scrutiny functions vis-à-vis our own governments, but also for citizens to have access to information. We've talked about that before, and the limité documents, and that there's a problem. So here I want to thank those delegations, such as the Czech one and the Danish one, for their support also with regard to our initiative regarding transparency. And I also very much agree with what the Czech delegates said, as we said before, that what the task force is doing is not going to be the end of it. And also that it's important that in terms of the yellow card procedure, it's not just about the time in terms of the 8 weeks periods, which should be extended by not including the recess, but that also what is important that the Commission actually takes into account our reasoned opinions and responds to it in an effective way and shows and explains to what extent it has done something with it or not. Let me just see, I mean, both from the Danish delegation and the French delegation, the issue of the green card was again tabled. So I think that's something that we could further talk about in COSAC. What do we actually mean by the green card? What does it mean to have a right of initiative? Not the way the European Parliament has it or the European Commission. or the European Commission has it, but in a way that maybe the citizens of the EU have it, like the Citizens' Initiative. How would that concretely have to take shape? So maybe that's something that we can continue to discuss another time. So I think that would be an example next to transparency, where maybe we can, as COSAC, collectively try to move forward by having discussions on it and then maybe make concrete proposals. Thank you.
Благодаря ви, господин Апелдорн. Господин Тимерманс, всички работеха за вас. Имате 5 минути.
Thank you very much. I'll try and reflect on some of the things that have been said around the table. First of all, if we continue with the practice that everything that's bad is Brussels made and everything that's good is homemade, which is the practice in most of our member states, how can you ever increase the democratic legitimacy of the European level? Because if you continue to portray everything that Brussels does as bad, and when something goes well, it's not because of Brussels, but because of us, then no task force can counter that argument in the public's eye. So I believe that part of our responsibility, collective around the table, is to just assume responsibility for decisions taken with our participation, even if those decisions are not the decisions you would have liked. Very concretely, it was just said around the table that it was a scandal that the yellow card on the posting of workers amendment had not led to stopping of that amendment. First of all, a yellow card is supposed to say whether the EU has the right to act in that area and whether the instrument used by the EU is the right instrument. That is subsidiarity and proportionality. Amending an existing directive immediately eliminates the issue of subsidiarity because there is already EU legislation in that area. So if you don't like the content of a proposal, using the yellow card is arguably not the best way of expressing the dislike of the content, but it is the practice of how the yellow card has been used. So this is the first thing we could perhaps reflect upon, how we can get the yellow card and orange card, red card, whatever you want to call it, to actually be a subsidiarity check and not an instrument to try and influence policies you don't like, which is a different matter. Secondly, and by the way, the change of the directive posting of workers, it wasn't done by 2 member states against the will of all the others. It was done on the basis of the treaty by majority voting in the European Parliament and in the Council. So, at the end of the day, the basis of our work is a treaty. And if we do not defend the treaty, and if we do not respect the treaty, if we do not accept that all member states have signed and ratified the treaty, if that's not the starting position of the way we work, then of course we go back to power politics in the 19th century tradition, which I believe is not the way forward for Europe, frankly. So, the basis of our work should be the treaty. Secondly, so a democratic deficit is not just a result of things being not that transparent or far away, etc. It's also a result of the way political rhetoric is being used over a long, long period of time. I think it is clear that our citizens are very, very worried about whether we are able to provide sufficient control over their destinies. Given the fourth industrial revolution, given everything that's happening in the world, there is a strong feeling in many of our member states, are we still masters of our own destiny? And I think that redefining sovereignty or redefining democratic deficit into the power of stopping things, which is very often in my own country over the past years was very often the idea that we need the veto because then we can stop things and then we retain our sovereignty. Sovereignty is not just a power to stop things. Sovereignty is also the power to shape things, to change things. And in that sense, sovereignty only has material importance if it can actually change things for the good. And if you look, and I sort of want to try and formulate in my way what also President Macron has been formulating, if you look at the challenges we face, climate change, international security, the fourth industrial revolution, migration, The only way we can materialize our sovereignty is by doing it collectively. So just by redefining sovereignty as a nominal thing, you know, a man on his own in the desert is sovereign. He also dies of thirst, but he's sovereign. And I honestly believe that if we do not take that collective responsibility, that to reinvigorate European democracy is not just to increase the possibility to stop things, it's also to increase the possibility to act in the interests of the European citizen and to act at the most appropriate level, which is the level closest to the citizen. If there is no need to have national policy because you can do it locally, it should be done locally. If there is no need to have European policy because you can do it nationally, it should be done nationally. But there always will be areas where national action is not good enough to give material meaning to our people's sovereignty. And then you will need Europe. And this is the spirit within which the Commission wants to operate in the task force, which is not the end of things. It's just one more stage in the long, long road that we still have to accomplish. And I honestly, you know, I'm sometimes amazed if you hear all the bad things that have been said by Brussels and the Commission, etc., in some of our member states. And then you look into public opinion polls, 84% of support for EU membership, 92% of support for EU membership, in countries where governments have been bashing the EU and its institutions for years. Then people, we should be optimistic. You should be optimistic about the understanding of our citizens that the EU is their destiny. But they want a better EU, a more transparent EU, a more efficient EU. And it is our collective responsibility to provide that EU to them. Thank you very much.
Благодаря ви, господин Тимерманс. Прекрасно е, че завършваме с вашия оптимизъм, но всички си давате сметка, че вие искате да решите един вековен въпрос за това как да се примири индивидуалността с колективността, как една общност да стане част от едно общество. Това е доста тежка задача, която имате да решите вие в нашето време. Аз бих ви пожелал успех, ако пак от историята не знаех колко относително нещо е успеха в политиката. За мен беше чест да модерирам този разговор. Нещо повече, за България е чест, че е домакин на разговори като този, защото българският народ винаги е искал да бъде част и формално от тази общност, в която сега участва, защото никога не е преставал да бъде част от Европа в духовния смисъл. Благодаря ви.
Благодаря и аз, господин Вълчев, за това, че подпомогнахте нашия разговор днес. Да благодаря на участниците и, разбира се, на говорителите за ценния принос, за интересната дискусия и може би да завършим все пак с оптимизма. Вярвам, че ако може да бъде решен един проблем, това става с оптимизъм, с положителна нагласа. Нека така да завършим и днешния пети панел. С това закривам този панел, но ви моля да останете още малко, тъй като имаме да свършим още малко работа преди края на нашата среща. Вчера, по време на срещата на председателите, ние постигнахме консенсус по заключенията и приноса на нашия 59-ти КОСАК. Текста, който беше договорен и приет вчера, беше ви изпратен на мейлите, има го и пред вас на банките. Бих искал да питам, има ли някакви коментари, несъгласия с този текст? Не виждам. С това можем да кажем, че са приети заключенията и приноса на нашата среща. Поздравления! Имаме... Не чувам аплодисменти, но няма и нужда. Има... Благодаря все пак. След малко подсещане стигнахме и до това. Разбира се, аплодисменти ще има, надявам се, за господин Бухман, когото аз сега ще поканя да каже няколко думи за бъдещото австрийско председателство, което той заедно с господин Лопатка ще има честта да води в следващите 6 месеца. Заповядайте, господин Бухман.
Yeah, dear colleagues, first of all, I would like to take the opportunity to thank you, Christian Vigenin, and the Bulgarian friends for organizing and managing our COSAC meeting, and especially for the hospitality you offered us. Thanks very much. I think this is worth an applause. The conclusions and contributions of the 59th COSAC are an excellent basis for the incoming Austrian presidency. A Europe that respects is the slogan of the Austrian presidency, as you already know. Our main focus will be on the issues of security and migration, on strengthening competitiveness through digitalization and stability in our neighborhood. And we are quite aware that we will have to deal with Brexit, for example, with subsidiarity and proportionality issues, as we just discussed these topics, and the multi-annual financial framework. The Austrian delegation is looking forward to welcome the COSAC chairpersons meeting in July in Vienna, and also the COSAC meeting in November in Vienna. As you may know, we Austrians like culture, we Austrians like sports. Also, we did not qualify for the Football World Championships, and we Austrians like fine culinary and also sweets. And I would like to thank you once again, the Bulgarian friends, and especially Christian Vigenin, for a marvelous job he did during the meeting. And if we say thank you in Austria, we offer some sweets. And that's why I brought, on behalf of the Austrian delegation, a typically Viennese cake with me. It's the so-called Sachertorte, and I hope you will enjoy it in the leisure time after this meeting. All the best for you. See you in Vienna.
Благодаря. Thank you, Mr. Buchmann. Okay, because we have some new surprises, but let's take the cake first, because I think that's important.
Thanks very much.
Nice. I'm sure it's also tasty. Thank you, Mr. Buchmann. And I'm sure that in the next 6 months, you will be able to enjoy these kind of cakes also in Austria on different occasions. Now, allow me to say a few words at the end of our meeting. I switch to Bulgarian. За тези 6 месеца ние извършихме много интензивна работа, както в българския парламент, така и изобщо в изпълнителната власт, правителството, другите институции. Имахме амбицията да покажем, че можем да водим ефективно Европейския съюз в първото на България председателство. Заедно с това да покажем и самата страна, нейната природа, история, национален дух, достижения. Струва ми се, че в голяма степен успяхме и можем да бъдем удовлетворени. Опитът ми от последните месеци ме убеди колко важен е нашия формат КОСАК. Колко много можем да научим едни от други и колко ключов за бъдещето на Европейския съюз е нашият ангажимент на националните парламенти. Смятам, че за да бъдем по-ефективни, трябва да активизираме нашия обмен. Струва ми се, че един от изводите, които направих за себе си и бих предложил и на вас, е особено на фона и на срещата на работната група, която направихме през март в Брюксел, е да помислим върху възможността да добавим на постоянна основа още една неформална среща в нашия формат, която може да се провежда между председателския КОСАК и пленарния КОСАК по неформален начин в Брюксел с домакинството на Европейския парламент, ако и те са съгласни, избирайки конкретна тема, която можем да обсъждаме спокойно, без ограниченията във времето, които неизбежно присъстват, особено по време на пленарния КОСАК. Въпреки че за тези ден и половина само участниците в дискусиите направиха над 120 изказвания. което смятам, че е в някаква степен и своеобразен рекорд. Убеден съм, че по този начин ние можем и трябва да засилим и нашето взаимодействие с другите институции, не само Европейския парламент, но и Европейския икономически и социален комитет и Комитета на регионите, с които активно работихме в тези месеци, които присъстваха и на нашата среща вчера и днес. Няколко думи все пак и на благодарност на първо място на вас за активното участие в нашата среща, на колегите от тройката Естония и Австрия за подкрепата, на която разчитахме в тези 6 месеца, и също така и на Европейския парламент за коректността и за подкрепата, включително за работната група по субсидиарност и пропорционалност, въпреки че самия Европейски парламент не участваше, но ни подкрепи в нашето желание да водим дискусиите. Искам да благодаря на председателя на Българския парламент, както и на колегите от Комисията по европейските въпроси и контрол на европейските фондове за активната работа в тези месеци, защото без тяхната подкрепа, без съдействието, което получавахме, нямаше да можем да постигнем тези резултати. Заедно с това и на всички наши експерти, сътрудници, особено на доброволците, които дадоха своя принос за това да решаваме бързо, ефективно техническите проблеми, които неизбежно съпътстват подготовката и провеждането на такива събития. Не мога да не спомена нашата благодарност от мое име, от името на Комисията по европейските въпроси, на изпълнителната власт и на другите институции. Вярвам, че забелязахте, тези ден и половина с нас бяха министър-председателя, президента, добавям и председателя на Народното събрание, двама вице-премиери и министъра на Европейското председателство. Тази подкрепа присъстваше в целия период на председателството и така както те показаха и засвидетелстваха своето уважение към нас, така и българския парламент ги подкрепеше в тези 6 месеца. Сигурен съм, че ще пропусна някого, но в никакъв случай не бива да пропусна преводачите, които направиха възможно ние да се разбираме в тези дни, за тяхната готовност да остават и по-късно, само и само да можем да продължим нашата работа, нашите сесии. Благодаря ви наистина. Получихме отличен превод и това помогна за успеха на нашето събитие. Мисля, че тук поне трябва да аплодираме. So, I'm getting a bit set now, but it's a final element that will be our final surprise. You remember probably our wonderful evening, those of you who attended it on Sunday evening, and you noticed that there were 3 painters who painted in front of our eyes 3 paintings. Now I would like to invite our colleagues from Austria, Estonia, the outgoing member of our Troika, and Romania, the incoming member, because I would like to present them with one of those paintings. Please, that's our present for you, and I hope you bring with you and you keep the spirit of our meeting with you in your capitals.
Thanks very much. Beautiful.
I suppose you are.
Thank you once again. So I think I have the micro.
Which of us first?
Well, I would say Estonia because I was so thankful for your support during these months. Thank you very much for everything we did together. We'll continue to count on your help and support in the future. So this is your painting. Thank you. And now Romania, expectations are high, so we wish you good luck and
We had to commit ourselves to defend nature.
Yeah, I hope so. And I almost forgot, I was a bit, yeah, let's make the picture. I forgot that actually the two excellent, talented guys who actually painted these two pictures, the final two pictures, are here with us. And I think you can make a photo with them as well. So which is yours? Yeah. This is, yeah, on the other side.
This picture is from
Right. And friends, that was the end. Now is the lunch, and the buses will wait outside at 2:30. And don't forget anything. If you forget something, we have to keep it here until the next presidency.